Okay, so what changes when decisions affect decades, not quarters? There's a point in leadership where decisions stop being about performance and they start being about permanence. Early on, decisions, they're reversible. Campaigns can be changed, people can be replaced, processes can be fixed the next quarter. But at scale, decisions harden. They don't just affect numbers, they affect who stays, who leaves, and who becomes the normal. That's when leadership feels heavier, not harder. Why most leaders never make this shift. Most leaders are trained on speed, not consequence. Quarterly cadence, it teaches, how to hit targets, slow momentum, explain variance, move on. But long-term leadership demands a different muscle. Pattern recognition, second and third order thinking, could be restraint. But roughly 70% of major corporate transformations fail not because of strategy, but because of leadership behavior being the norm too early on. Bad strategies can be fixed, but bad norms, they're going to compound. When decisions affect decades, 3 things change. Number 1, time horizon. You stop asking, will this work? You start asking, what does this reward over time? Because whatever you reward, speed, politics, loyalty, silence, you're going to get more of it. Number 2, people's decisions become permanent signals. Hiring one executive isn't a role to fill. It values declaration. Who you tolerate quickly trains everyone watching. For example, a Harvard study showed that toxic high performers reduce team productivity by up to 40% over time, even when short-term results look strong. Culture doesn't drift. It's designed or neglected. And number 3, mistakes get louder over time. At scale, the errors are going to echo. A rushed decision today becomes legacy system tomorrow, a political rule next year, and unspoken, that's how we do it forever. For example, I've watched leaders celebrate a decision because it's worked. Revenue went up, the room relaxed, but 6 months later, the best people started leaving, not loudly, but quietly. The decision worked, but it taught the wrong lesson. For example, there's an entrepreneur, he said, Antonio, I have to share this with you. I'm very good at what I do. There's something negative about my personality. I'm very cocky and I know what I know. And I have a very strong ego. I'm not open to someone telling me what to do. I've done very well in business so far. I'm not going to read a book to have someone tell me what I should be doing. I've done very well. And while his decisions sound great and he sounds very strong, he's built a very successful business, who wants to follow a leader like that? Who wants to stay very close to that person? Are you actually keeping the voter? Is the voter going to go to bat for you? Is that voter going to have the opportunity to talk good behind your back? Or are you pushing those people away? While that sounds great, and we need that at a strong, high-level leadership standpoint, who's going to follow that? Who's going to follow that speed? Do we have the team built up for that? That person, over time, people have come, people have gone, and we're trying to figure out what is missing, what is next, what hasn't worked, and what do we need to implement next. Although it's still very hard for him to actually, want to change. He admits he knows there's an opportunity for change, but it's that small thing that happens behind the scene that is worth definitely looking into. But after all this, I want to share this. That's when you realize you don't solve a problem. You are absolutely setting the direction for yourself and for the team. At the decade level, intelligence isn't enough. You need judgment, patience. You're going to need that moral authority. Critical thinkers, they're going to ask, what behavior does this normalize? Who wins if this becomes a policy? What is the unintended consequence 3 moves ahead? Those are questions you don't typically get asked by your team, but if you're able to process that, that's someone who's thinking ahead in the business. For example, long-tenured, high-trusted leadership teams outperform its peers from 20 to 25%, give or take, in long-term investment capital, largely due to consistency and decision quality, not innovation speed. Although speed, it's going to get attention. Judgment earns trust. When outcome spans over decades, you carry people's careers, families are indirectly dependent on your calls, standards outlive you, and this isn't pressure. This is responsibility density at its finest. Leadership doesn't get harder. It certainly gets heavier. Now you're deciding what gets rewarded, what gets executed, what gets excused, and what kind of leaders get promoted. And over time, that becomes the company. Most people think great leaders optimize outcomes, drive results, push harder, but the best leaders at scale do something else. They shape trajectories, they understand every decision is a vote for the future, and small compromises become the permanent rule. The organization will eventually mirror the leader's judgment in this scenario. At some point, decisions stop becoming about next quarter and they start shaping who stays, who leaves, and what becomes the normal. That's exactly when leadership feels heavier, not harder. Because you're no longer optimizing outcomes, you're shaping trajectories.